This is Lady Z. We're talking to Daniel Steinmann, and for today we're talking about inflation. Now, this is an ongoing series. He is the editor of The Economist, and he just told me that he's been the editor of The Economist, well, way before I was born, but that makes this conversation a lot more interesting. Now, Daniel, we are talking about inflation today. Tell us, what exactly is inflation? A lot of people might actually, we know the word, we've heard about it, but we might not actually understand it.
Zinia, do you have lots of time?
I do.
Because I can keep you busy for the next week when we start talking about inflation.
Okay.
But I'll spare you that. I won't do it. What I'm going to do is in this session and the next one, I'm going to talk about the two ends of inflation. Now, there's an inflation spectrum, and it'll become clear just now what I mean by that. And if you look at inflation, we always just think of it as the increase in prices. And that is true. Inflation is a measure of how much more we have to spend every month to get the same bag from the supermarket that we can take home. So immediately you see the implication in that definition is that stuff gets more expensive. And now you can ask yourself, why? And this is why I'm pointing out at the beginning of this conversation that there's a spectrum in the way that we measure inflation. And you've got inflation on the producer side, meaning on the factory side, where stuff is made. You have inflation there.
Yeah.
So it means that the cost of factories, the cost of raw materials, the cost of overheads, the cost of staff, all these are also subject to inflation or inflationary pressures. And this is just a nice way of saying that everything gets more expensive. And then, as the consumer, you see it on the other side of the spectrum. You go into the shop and you see Oros, my favorite cool drink. I used to complain when it started pricing at about $21, $22 for a 2-liter bottle. Now I see we are at nearly $40 a bottle, and even when there's a special on Oros, it doesn't go below 32.
Yeah.
So, and this is just over about 2 or 3 years. So there's a noticeable increase in the price of a very basic thing like Oros. And I mean, everybody knows Oros.
Yes.
We grew up with Oros.
Yeah.
5 years ago, a bottle of Oros was in the region of about $18 or $19. And now I'm telling you, it's somewhere between 36 and 40. So in a mere 5 years, 60 months, the same time that you take to pay off your car when you bought a new car, it has almost doubled in price. And this is now where we get to what drives it? What is the underlying thing? And then right at the end of the second session, I'm going to talk about the impact of inflation over time. Because from an economist's point of view, inflation is just a measurement. It's a value. You know, it's like your mathematics at school.
Yeah.
You do all the calculations the way the teacher showed you, and if you do it right, you get a nice score. If you don't do it right, you flunk.
Yeah.
You have to go do the same mathematics again next year.
Yes.
You see, so what is it in inflation that has almost this push that you cannot explain, that it's there all the time? Well,
yes.
What is the reason? Why do prices need to go up? And what I want to talk about now is on the consumer side. Remember, I told you there's a spectrum. There are two sides, producer, consumer. Now we're talking about the consumer side. And it is also called a pull factor in inflation. And it is mostly, but not entirely, based on the spending ability of the consumer. That means that's you and me. And if we have money in our pocket, and if we earn a salary, and we've paid everything that we need to pay every month, and there's a little bit left. Let's say there's $800 left. And you've got a little savings plan, and you said to yourself 2 years ago, every month I'm going to save at least $300. So you put your $300 into your savings plan. Now there's $500 left. The moment you've got $500 left, your hands start itching. you want to do something with it. Mm-hmm. You want to have something nice for your flat, or maybe something nice for yourself, or a dress, or whatever. And this is why it's called the pull factor. Excess liquidity, meaning more money available between all the people in Namibia than what they need just to survive.
Okay.
Creates that inflationary pressure. In very simple words, you are prepared to pay more to get that nice hanger around your neck, or the nice earrings. And shop owners know this. Mm-hmm. And they also know that they can slowly push up the price because there's demand. Mm-hmm. And demand is created by the ability of you to have a few extra dollars left every month to spend on what we call discretionary spending. And that simply means you decide, what is it that I want? A new pair of shoes, or a mat for my flat, or whatever, or a tin of paint so that I can go paint that rusty old entrance gate that's been bugging me for 2 years. So this is the pull factor. Extra money available with every individual who has an income, the consumer, and even people who don't have full-time jobs. Mm-hmm. They also get money somewhere.
Yes.
And old people, they get a pension from the state.
Yes.
So if they don't have much debt, they just need to pay their groceries, and there's, on the old age pension, $150 left. It sounds like nothing, but aggregate that by, let's say, 200,000 pensioners or beneficiaries of government support. And now immediately you see that stupid $100 or $150 that's left every month in that person's own budget, if you multiply it by the number of people who get it, it becomes a couple of $1 million. Mm-hmm. So it has an economic impact.
Okay.
And it has an impact on prices.
Okay.
Because people want stuff.
Yes.
Nice goods are nice to go get.
Of course.
And it's lovely to go walk through game and just shop with your eyes. And in the back, I've got $500 extra.
Yes.
It's burning a hole in my pocket. Mm-hmm. It's bugging me all the time. What am I going to buy with this? And you buy something nice. And that is inflation, where prices rise because people want more goods. They've got a little bit of money left.
Yeah.
And there is demand.
Okay.
And in our next session, I'm going to talk about the opposite type of inflation over which we do not have any control.
Okay. It is such a pleasure to have this conversation because, I really wanted to understand what inflation is all about. And I did go to, I did do business in school and I loved business. But if you would like to know as well what exactly inflation is, we are talking to that is Mr. Daniel Steinmann. And we will be right back. We're going to take a quick musical break.